This is a tutorial on how to set up and use the action point generator from Rapid Reports. The workflow is here on the Welcome tab, telling you that you first input student information, their name and gender. That's the only information you need to use this. But there are additional fields that you can put in if you want to. You then write some action points, and then you assign an action point to each student, and you'll get a customized action point for your student. So let me show you how to set up. You see you've got the tabs down the bottom here. This is the action point chooser. Once everything is inputted, we will then assign our action point to a student and get the action point here to copy. We've got 3 tabs for inputting action points. You can see I've got a whole bank of comments here. The reason for having 3 tabs is you might teach academic students, vocational students, and be a tutor. I need to write slightly different types of comment depending on which type of student you are currently dealing with. And then you have the reference tab here. On the reference tab is where you put student names and their gender pronouns in. You also need to define whether it's a vocational or academic student. So this is where we're going to start off. We're going to put the student names and so on in here. We need to put a unique name down in the first column here. So I have 2 Joes in a class, Joe B and Joe S. So I've put Joe B and Joe S there, leaving a space, and that's fine. Ultimately the action point is going to use their name to generate a customized comment for each student, including their name. If you wanted to, you don't have to. So in order to make sure that you're not calling them Joe B, Joe plus their surname initial, this column will automatically remove any initials, and this is what will go into the comment. So you don't need to worry about having to do that. This will do it for you. And then from the drop down menu you select whether it's a he or a she. This will then tell the system which set of pronouns to use, male or female pronouns, and it's automatically worked out for you from the first one that you put in here. You then choose from a drop down menu whether this current student is a vocational student, academic student, or if you want to write a tutor comment for that student. So you just work your way down, and I've done 2 separate groups of students here, a vocational group and an academic group, to give you an idea of the differences that you can have. Everything else here from surname onwards is optional. You don't need to use it, you can leave it blank. I've coloured the cells darker blue to indicate that they're different to these ones. These ones are essential, although these ones are automatically worked out for you. With academic students, you may well want to include a homework mark and a test mark, so you can put those percentages in there, or you can put a grade in there, a letter grade if you want to. So I've included some so that you can see how that can be used. Let's now go to defining some action points. We'll have a look at the academic ones first. So these are already completed to give you an idea of what you're looking for. What you do is you write a comment. Now it's very likely that you've copied and pasted comments before, where you then put in the new student's name and change all the she's to he, or the he's to she, and the his's to hers, and so on. The idea here is that you write a comment, and where you want the student's name to go, you put name in square brackets, and where you want his or her to go, you put his in square brackets. Where you want a capitalised he or she to go, you put a capitalised he in square brackets. So the square brackets indicate to the system that you want to refer back to here and choose the appropriate pronouns for that student. You can see the he in square brackets there, indicating wherever it sees a he in square brackets, it will put this in there, and it does it for all of the pronouns. So go back here, wherever it sees this, if the student, when we're choosing the action points, is a girl, it will put a capitalised she in there. So it does it all for you, it does all the worrying about those pronouns. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You just have to get this comment correct, and then you just have to get the he or the she correct here. The rest of it is dealt with by the system. Okay, so what else can we do here? We can also include those homework or test grades if you want to. So I've put a standardised comment at the end indicating what the student's average homework grade is. You can see I'm using HW in square brackets. Let's go back to the reference tab. There's that HW in square brackets. So wherever the system finds this, it will replace with the student's grade from this column here. If it's blank, then it's going to insert a blank there. So if you're going to use this for some of your academic students, you need to use it for all of them. So you can see they've all got a HW in that, or rather, wherever the HW is, you need to make sure that you have a grade in here. So those are some academic comments. Now, why have I got, for excellent work, 3 different comments? Well, if you look closely, they're essentially saying the same thing, but in a slightly different way. It just adds a bit more variety, because I'm sure that you'd agree, if students get identical comments, perhaps they won't be so happy with that. It's a bit obvious that you copied and pasted. However, if they get slightly different ones, it's less noticeable. Well, you can write just one set of comments if you want. AP1 stands for action point 1, so you could write just one column of comments, and then if you assign excellent work to 3 students, they'll all have the same comment. But with this system, if you write slightly different comments, you could go up to 5 of them. Then if you have 3 students that you say give excellent work to, then they will get a slightly different comment. If you had 6 students, there will be reuse, but it will be much less than just having 6 students having identical comments. In this case, there'll be 3 pairs of students with the same comments, but they'll likely be in different classes. And if you have enough action points going down here, then you can introduce enough variety. And also, of course, if you add 4 or 5 action points, again, you're reducing the reduce rate, the reuse rate. So those are academic comments. I'm going to show you how I could type some of the comments for vocational students. So I've written action point 1 for good work for my BTEC students. I'm now going to write action point 2. So the first one says, so-and-so is doing well so far, which is great. His assignment work I would judge to be above his MAG, and he is clearly working on his assignments outside of lesson time. He needs to stretch his understanding of the topics by consulting a wider range of information sources. Now I want to write that in the same, essentially the same comment, but in a slightly different way. So I'm going to say, it's pleasing to see, and this is where I want the student's name to go, so I put name in square brackets, doing well at this stage. Now, I'm going to lead this sentence with a gender pronoun, so it needs to be the capitalised version. If I put in the lowercase version here, that wouldn't look right grammatically, so or from a punctuation point of view. So need the capitalised version. He has been working on his assignments outside of lesson time, and I would judge quality Okay, so you get the idea. That's how I'm writing my comments as I'm going along. If you're typing, then you just need to make sure that you put in the square brackets around any pronouns. If you already have comments, then paste them in here and work through them, and where pronouns would go or are, put them in square brackets. Now those pronouns, they need to be the male version. The reason for that is when you have, I think it's his and him, those are different for males, but for females they're both her. So you don't get that differentiation with female pronouns. So it's for that reason that you need to use the male ones here, so that the system understands which ones to use. So use the male pronouns in the comments here. Okay, I'll just finish off this comment here. Oops. Don't forget to close off the square brackets. That is a comment. All done. Okay. Let's put the. I've got some copies of the other ones, so I'm going to insert those here. There we go. So I've got my 4 action points, and I've got my 4 action points going all the way down here, apart from this one, but I'm not actually going to use that one, this comment at the moment. Well, as you can see as well, I have a lot of comments. As time goes on, you can add more comments, so you could add more in these empty rows here. You can also add more variations in here, so I could start typing AP5 if I wanted to. This number over here tells the system what number of action point comments you've defined for vocational students. I'm only using 4, so make sure that this is accurate. Keep that blank if it's not an action point. Excuse me. So I've defined my comments now. I've inputted the student data. Now let's assign some comments to students. Yes, it does take a little while to set this up, but once it's there, you can knock out comments really fast. So, Joe Blocks, issue for this student. You see I'm choosing from a drop-down menu here. Where does that drop-down menu come from? It comes, this is, Joe Bloggs was a vocational student, so it comes from this list here of issues. Whatever you write in here gets put in here. So at the moment you see this is good work BTEC. If I change that, for example, to vocational, then going back here, you see it's updated the list here. So as you add more or take some away, this list will reflect those changes. So Joe Bloggs doing good work, let's say. And there we go, this is my comment, you see, that's now customized for that student. It's put the name in where I wanted it. It's put in the correct gender pronouns. This is a male student, so it's used all male pronouns. For Nikki, I'd say I need her to submit preliminary work ahead of the deadline. Let's say that Ali was also doing well. you can see that it's automatically putting in the data for me, so there's very little work for me to do. This one is good work as well. Now have a look at this. You see it's adding in some variety here. So they've got the same issue, or not an issue in this case. They're both doing good work, but they've got slightly different comments. And so as I continue to put in these, you can see that the comments are all nice and customized. So I don't have to go through in my copy paste routine and look for all the pronouns and change them, which is incredibly tedious and fraught with dangers of missing some. So here you go, as I'm putting these in. If you know what you're looking for, so if I wanted to take more care of the assignments, you can by all means use the drop down menu, but you can go ahead and start typing a word in that phrase. You see that care is not even the first word, it's in the middle. So you can just you can just hit enter after typing care, and the spreadsheet knows to, once you hit enter, just put that comment in. So it's your workflow can be really fast here. Now these are academic students, so you can see the list is now different. That's because this list of issues is different. It knows for a vocational student, because you defined it here, and for academic students, to give you different lists of issues depending on which student you're working with. So you're having to do very little thinking at this stage. You can just quickly go through and start and work through. Oops. Got to make sure you spell things correctly. Can't help you with that. But the actual mechanics here are very quick and efficient. So, there we go, and you can see those grades are getting put in as well. So you can really add a lot of detail in, and there's scope for adding in more details on the reference. You can just copy and paste those from your existing grade books. So yeah, lots of scope here, and you can just work through this really, really fast. There we go, so that's the action point generator. Put a few more excellent works in here, and we should see that we're getting different action points. So there we go, getting different comments. If I change this one to more independent study as well, you see it automatically updates to give you different variations. It tells you here whether it's AP1 or AP2, which is coming from along this line here. And if you wanted to override it, if you wanted to give Victoria not AP1 but AP3, then you can override it like that if you really want to. So yeah, it's pretty customizable. As I say, it takes a little bit of time to get set up, but once you're set up, you'll be flying, and your comments will get better every year. And yeah, so use this, because this will just make your life so much easier when it comes to writing little comments about your students.